What? Listen! The Spear Danes, in days gone by, and the kings who ruled them had courage and greatness. Now we have heard of those princes' heroic campaigns, of Shield Chiefson, scourge of many tribes, a wrecker of meat benches, rampaging among foes. Now this terror of the whole troop had gone far. A foundling to start with, he would flourish later on as his powers waxed and his worth was proved. Now in the end, each clan on the outlying coast beyond the Whale Road had to yield to him and begin to pay tribute. That was God Corning! One good king! Now afterwards, a boy child was born to Shield, a cub in the yard, a comfort sent by God to that nation. Now he knew what they had done, the long times they had come through, the hard times without a leader. So the Lord on high, the Almighty One, made this man renowned. Shield had fathered a famous son. Beowulf's name would be known through the north. And a young prince must be prudent like that, giving freely while his father lives, so that afterwards in age, when fighting starts, steadfast companions will stand by him to hold the line. Remember, behavior that's admired is the path to power among people everywhere. Now Shield was still thriving when his time came, and he crossed over into the Lord's keeping. His warrior band did what he bade them when he laid down the law among the Danes. They shouldered him out to the sea's flood, the chief they revered, who had long ruled them. A ring-whirled prow rode in the harbour, ice-clad, outbound, a craft for that prince. Now they stretched their beloved lord on his boat, laid out by the mast amidships the great ring-giver. Far-fetched treasures were loaded on top of him, and I never heard before of a ship so well furbished with battle tackle, braided weapons, and coats of mail. Now this matched treasure would travel far, for they set a gold standard up high above his head before letting him drift to wind and tide, bewailing him and mourning their loss. Now no man can tell, no wise man in hall, nor weathered veteran knows for certain who salvaged that load. But then it fell to Beowulf to keep the forts. Now he was well regarded and ruled the Danes for many years after his father took leave of his life on earth, and then his son, the great half-Dane, held sway, their chief and warlord. Now he was 4 times the father of this fighter prince, and one by one they entered the world. Heroga, Hrothgar, the good Helga, and a daughter I have heard, who was Onla's queen, a balm in bed for the battle-weary Swede. Now of these children, the fortunes of war favoured Hrothgar. Friends and kinsmen flocked to join his ranks, young followers that soon grew to be a mighty army, and so his mind turned to hull building. Now he passed down orders for work to begin on a great mead hall, meant to be a wonder of the world forever. It would be his throne room, and there he would dispense his God-given goods to young and to old. Now far and wide throughout the world I have heard orders for work to adorn this wallstead were sent to many people, and soon it stood finished, gleaming on the hill, the Hall of Halls. Heorot was the name that he laid upon it, he whose utterance was low, nor did he renege, but doled out rings and torques at the table, good king that he was. And so, times were pleasant for the people there, until one, a fiend out of hell, began to work his evil in the world. Grendel was the name of this grim demon, haunting the marshes, marauding around the heath and the desolate fens. It harrowed him to hear the sound of the Danes at feast, the loud banquet, the softly struck harp, and the skilled poet. So after nightfall, he just out in a rage to see how the ring Danes were settling in after their feast. And there he came upon them, a company of the best, asleep from their drink, insensible to pain and human sorrow. Suddenly, the god-cursed brute was creating havoc. Grim and greedy, he grabbed up 30 men from their resting place, then rushed back to his lair in the fens, flushed up and inflamed from the raid, thundering back with the butchered corpses. As day broke, Grendel's powers of destruction were plain. Their wassail was over. They wept to heaven, and they mourned unto morning. Their famous prince, that storied leader, he sat stricken and helpless, humiliated by the loss of his guard. Now he was numb with grief, but he had no respite, for one night later, merciless Grendel struck again with more gruesome murders. Malignant by nature, he never showed remorse. Now, it was easy then to meet with a man shifting himself to a safer distance, in bed, in the bothies, for who could be blind to the obviousness of his eyes, the evidence of the Hall Watcher's hate? Those who survived kept the weather eye open and moved away. And so, Grendel ruled in defiance of right, one against all, until the greatest house in the world stood empty and deserted. For 12 winters, long seasons of woe, the Prince of the Shielding sat heavy under his burdens of sorrow. And soon the tale was told throughout the whole world. Sad songs were sung about the beset king, about the vicious ravages and raids of Grendel, about his long and unrelenting feud. Nothing but war. He would never make peace, nor parley with any Dane, nor stop his death dealing and pay the death price. None was safe. He took over the glittering hall, haunted it after dark. Young and old alike were hunted down by this grim death shadow that lurked and swooped in the long nights on the misty moors.